I love Netflix. It has most of the shows that I'm already interested in and is so much cheaper and user-friendly compared to cable. Along with this comes old shows and movies, new shows and movies, movies that you never knew existed, movies that you wish never existed, and then something different. Today, we'll be talking about Netflix originals. One that you've probably already heard every goddamn YouTuber talk about because I'm late on the goddamn train again! If you haven't seen this before, Bill Nye Saves the World is a Netflix original series that sort of sets itself up as a bit of a comedy live show starring Bill Nye. The episode that people got all worked up about is Season 1, Episode 9, titled The Sexual Spectrum. Now, there were some parts that I admit were worthy of ridicule.
'Cause my sex junk is so much more than either
But the main thing that people got pretty irked about was this scene, where Bill brings out an abacus.
Now, as you can see, this is a pretty complicated machine. So I'm going to ask for a little help with that, and who better to talk about sex than two cis-male white guys?
Oh good, I like that they added a little definition just in case you didn't know what you were supposed to be ashamed about.
Derek Muller. Derek, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you.
Now, Bill explains the four main elements of your sexuality: sex, gender, attraction, and expression. Those are all a part of your sexuality and is all on a spectrum. Fair enough, it's on a spectrum, alright. It seems that simply agreeing with this, though, isn't enough for some people. Hell, I even got blocked by Riley J. Dennis for agreeing with her. Now let's talk about my argument, starting from sex, starting from the ground up. It is true that sometimes you'll be born with an abnormal amount of sex chromosomes, I'll give you that. However, the existence of an extra sex chromosome can cause several disorders, such as Turner's syndrome, Klinefelter syndrome, X trisomy, XYY trisomy, and several others. And claiming that sex is on a spectrum because people have mental disorders is like saying that your chicken soup is on a spectrum because you found a toenail in it. Next is gender. One argument I sort of hear often from anti-SJW YouTubers is that gender is, in fact, not on a spectrum. There are only two genders, you'll often hear. But their argument is sort of wrong. At least their approach is. The use of gender as of recent has been used to describe a person's mental identification, not tied to what genitalia you have. Which is stupid, and I understand the confusion as to why people wouldn't just choose another word rather than hijacking one. The world would never know, but regardless, the idea of male and female mindset is kind of stupid, as if people actually have forced gender roles in America. The choices of a male and the choices of a female are individual. I don't know why you should categorize them. Next one, attraction. Do I even need to explain this one? If you think that chick parts are more attractive than guy parts, then you make that decision for yourself. Fine, you can use spectrum for this one, Bill. Go ahead. And finally, expression. What the fuck is a gender expression, Bill? Okay, so this is just determined by the raw number of men and women dressing and acting a certain way? Why are statistics a part of your gender? Fine, whatever, Bill, spectrum. Now that's a pretty impressive score. 2 out of 4 is much more than I expected. Now just before you take that home, I just need to ask, why should I care? That's ultimately the question that I have for a lot of this, especially people who identify as non-binary. How do you explain, outside of a biological spectrum, how do you explain non-biologically that your gender exists? How do you explain that? If it's on a spectrum, then wouldn't that mean that everyone has a different gender expression or sexuality or attraction? Not everyone's alike. You can have someone who's maybe 25% gay and then expresses themselves as who knows, 42.5% feminine, if we're actually going to be able to categorize this. Wouldn't that person be 1 in a million out of everybody? Wouldn't that person only share their sexuality with 1 or 2 people, like, globally? What's the point in all of this? It doesn't make any sense to be going and labeling it as genderqueer or non-binary or whatever, aesthetic gender, fucking trans misogagender. Who the hell cares? Why would I even care about this if it's not actually fundamentally plottable on a graph? Wouldn't everyone have a different gender, since no two people are alike? Wouldn't that mean that there are an infinite number of genders, one for every possible makeup of the brain that a human can have? Even if other anti-SJWs are wrong, that there are only 2 genders or whatever, I think that this is still more retarded than a belief of identifying as an attack helicopter. How can you expect to label genders when everyone has a different personality? So I think you have it wrong, Bill. I think that your approach is a bit different. You need to change up your vocabulary. Perhaps you need to see that it's not your sexuality that's on a spectrum, but your experiences as a human. And categorizing those are ultimately impossible.